I told my sister, no, sir.
Hey, good evening, everyone. We're going to call to order the regular board meeting of January 15, 2014 at, was it 7:03?
Yes.
It's 7:03 p.m.
Mary Ann Stuckey. Here. Allison Downs. Here. Tina Waniel here. Chris Flanagan. Here. Kat Chesky. Here. John Kowalski. Here. Dave Chura. Also in attendance is Dr. Kim Boszewski, Mr. Jeremy Dodson, Ms. Kim Klein, Ms. Kathy Grant, Mr. Eric Humboldt, Mrs. Melissa Kartsmith, Mrs. Constance Stavo, Dr. Kristen Kapta, Mrs. Donna Mangione, Mr. Brian Amsler, Ms. Louise Stamper, and Ms. Carrie Lynn Crafter.
Everyone here? Okay, well, the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, consent agenda. I would like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education establish the consent agenda items as presented. Any questions on the consent agenda items? Moved by Tina. Second by Pat.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Waniel, yes. Flanagan.
Yes.
Chesky.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Chura.
Yes. Approval of the consent agenda. I would like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Pat. Any questions from anybody?
Stuckey.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Waniel, yes. Flanagan.
Yes.
Chesky.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Chura.
Yes. Discussion and potential action on items removed from the consent agenda. Okay, nothing can be removed from the consent agenda. Okay, public participation. I don't know where to read. On behalf of the Board of Education and the residents of Schiller Park, we'd like to thank the custodians for the fine job they did in this adverse weather, removing the snow, keeping our place open, waiting everyone on break. So when you got out for a break, you were all set to get in.
At least a day later.
So wherever the custodians are, Mike Danny, if you're hiding there somewhere, thank you very much.
That was nice. Thanks, Dave. You were very well.
Now we got a new group to pick on, the ABC parent group.
Bring it on.
Come on up. Please state your name.
Yes.
And
Hello. My name is Karen Lundquist, 9879 Garden Court. I stand here with Robin Fiala and Diane Murioka, and we make up only part of the ABC parent group. Our executive board is made up of 7 parents. And between us parents, we have 22 children. Most of them have or will go through the school district of 81. In the last 8 months, we've had the opportunity to meet and talk to different parents of our district and found that there's one common question. How do we as parents express our concerns, our thoughts, our ideas about children's experience here at District 81? We understand the importance of communicating and having a good relationship with our children's teachers, administrators, and board members. We want to give parents the tools to reach out to you to help create conditions for parents to feel welcomed into the school and have information and stay informed. Improving parent involvement is a goal of the No Child Left Behind Act in 2001, and it's our goal too. Decades of research show that when parents are involved in their children's school and education, these children have higher grades, higher test scores, and graduation rates, better school attendance, increased motivation and self-esteem, lower rates of suspension, decreased use of drugs and alcohol, and it promotes better student behavior. When parents are involved in their child's education, students are more likely to find value in what they're learning. Working together, parents, teachers, administrators, and school board members can help children get the best education possible. But we all have to put our differences aside and do what's best for our future, our children. As the ABC Parent Group, we will not tolerate or are interested in any political views, discrimination, or any negative behavior. Every decision that we make, we are going to ask ourselves, is this in the best interest of our children? We hope that you can see the importance and the value of having a parent group and welcome you to join our meetings, which are held 1 hour before the school board meetings. We really hope to have your support. Thank you.
Tiffany Schultz from the SPEA. Step up.
I'm Tiffany Schultz here on behalf of the SPEA. Next Monday, our nation celebrates the birth of one of our nation's most influential civil rights leaders. Dr. Martin Luther King's dream continues to be a vision of hope, not only for our nation, but for the world. His vision, and that of others such as Nelson Mandela, should inspire all of us to acknowledge our differences, embrace them, and then work together to create a world that celebrates diversity. As a community, we have the responsibility to set an example and create an environment that supports and encourages children to express their creativity. As teachers and administrators, we work daily to inspire children to fulfill their dreams. As a board, your decisions directly impact what we are able to accomplish in our classrooms. Experience has taught us that when we seek common ground and work collaboratively, our students are more likely to succeed. As this school year moves forward and we face more challenges, it is my hope that we continue to acknowledge our differences and seek common ground so we're able to maintain the collaborative relationship we've worked so hard to establish. If we do that, our children will be better situated to achieve Dr. King's dream. Thank you.
Okay, principals reports and enrollment reports. Anybody have any questions? Okay. On examples of excellence, we're going to have an update on the District 81 goals.
If it's not loud enough, please let me know. And then I will use the microphone. I guess I'm using the microphone. Tech director has decided My technology is, of course, failing me. And my notes. Yeah, found my notes. So at the board retreat held this past summer, the Board of Education worked with Jeff Cohen, our field services director from the Illinois Association of School Boards. And at that time, the board collaboratively worked together to come up with 4 key focus areas that they wanted to work on for this school year. And you'll see that those focus areas are here. They were teamwork, communication, student achievement, and parental involvement. The next step after the board created those focus areas was I aligned my superintendent goals to those key areas, and then the administrators aligned their goals to my goals. So we have a streamlined process to make sure that we are the wheels are set in motion and everybody is doing work at board. The intended purpose of tonight's presentation is just a mid-year check, see where we are and how we're doing to date on those 4 key areas. In the area of teamwork, the board has created member agreements. They did that last summer, and a sample of those agreements are here. I think Eric can show that to you right now. Each board member signed those agreements, as did I and Jeremy. And we worked diligently to try to follow them in the best interest of the students and the entire district. You can go back, Eric. Another change that we put in place this year in the spirit of teamwork was the monthly agenda is shared with the school board members before the official packet's reviewed, and there's a little blurb for each agenda item, and what that's done is given the board input on what the board packet's going to look like before it's officially released, and it allows board members to give feedback to the board president or myself regarding particular agenda items. The board has also done some really great committee work this year. The Superintendent Evaluation Committee worked diligently to create and formally recommend and ultimately adopt a superintendent evaluation tool. Pat, Tina, Allison, and I met several times. The committee was professional, it was productive, and the outcome was a superintendent formal tool that will be used next month to evaluate me. The board has also participated in several professional development opportunities along with me. We've done this together. We have taken 2 online courses through the Illinois Association of School Boards. One was superintendent evaluation, and I believe all or most board members have taken media relations to date. Several board members and I and our business manager attended the III conference. The board did share and update the community on the takeaways from that last month. And then we have some things that are coming up that we'll be attending together that allows the board to network with their board members in their region as well as with each other. You can click on it. One of the legs or another factor of the teamwork goals, the board really wanted to improve transparency, amongst themselves and within the community. So we have this year implemented weekly updates. So Director Grant, Communication Director Grant, has done a really nice job of putting information out in a timely and efficient manner, using multiple media tools to make sure that our families are aware of the events that are coming so that they can attend those events. Effective this year, we began recording and posting our board meetings. Tech Director Humbles is constantly looking for ways to refine and improve that process. I think he's done an excellent job of getting those videos up quickly the next day. The curriculum facilitators and the administrators created a standards-based grading brochure. Board members, it's at your seats, and there's extras up there if there's those in the audience that haven't seen it. That brochure was created to help our parents understand our updated report card, and it was distributed at parent-teacher conferences, and it's also available on the website. You can. I'm not going to read slides, so just so you know. Another area was communication. So the board really wanted to distribute an online or some sort of perception survey so that we can collect data about what our stakeholders really think about us. And the intention was to try to do that this fall. So I was able to secure Dr. Kim Perkins, who's retired superintendent from Bloomingdale School District 13, and share the tool that they used. He came and addressed the board, I think, 2 months back, and talked to the board about what ECHR could do to help us create a survey and distribute the survey. After that, I had a very thoughtful conversation with the vice president of the board and the president, and we all agreed and suggested to the board that it might be best to wait to collect our stakeholder data when we engage more deeply into the strategic planning process, which we're going to do this summer. And we actually have a consultant here this evening to talk to us about that. It just made more sense to couple the collection of stakeholder data with our strategic planning process. So, although it didn't happen, the board still plans to do that, just a little later than we originally intended. Another thing the board wanted or hoped to see was more information or transparency on our website. So the administration came up with a data dashboard. I'm not sure if anybody's had a chance to visit that data dashboard. Hello? But the data dashboard houses information on a whole host of things from district demographics, student achievement, data, and then several financial resources. Business manager Dotson has done an excellent job of getting historical data up there, financial historical data up on the website. Now with the rollout of that new and improved website, as well as the data dashboard, Eric Humbles, our tech director, was very interested in how many hits and who's coming and how often are they coming. So he recommended Google Analytics and MailChimp. I thought it was Chip, it's Chimp program, for us to actually start tracking what's going on with our technology. So I have a couple of those reports to share in the next 2 slides. So this is a sample of Google Analytics. This helps us track visits to our website. So by month or by day, this happens to be the month of December, I believe. We get some rich information here. So you'll notice over there that little pie chart. The green is representative of new visitors to the website, and the blue is returning visitors. So it's nice to know that we're still attracting new visitors to our website, how many visits we're getting, how long they're staying, you know, the duration of the visit. So right there in December it was 2 minutes and 11 seconds. That tells us we don't have a lot of time to reach people, so we have to make sure our information is catchy and readily available. This is a sample of MailChimp. This tool is used to track the communications that we put out monthly or weekly. So for example, Notify Me or Board Highlights. This is the most recent report from Matt that went out to the Community Connections in January, and it tells us about half of the stakeholders that we sent it to actually opened it. So also good to know. We did offer a community engagement forum in November at the request of the board, and those resources were posted online. The curriculum facilitators and administrators shared some really valuable information on Common Core and our updated report card. The presentation, as well as a video of the evening, was posted on the website. We also put the questions that parents asked and our answers to them as well on our website. So for parents that weren't there, they were able to go to the website, see the presentation, look at the questions that were asked, and get the answers. Kathy Grant, Eric, and I had a good time last summer. You know, when we updated the website, part of that was we were able to update our logo and brand, and it actually was included in the cost, so it seemed like an opportune time to take advantage of the money we were spending. And we did roll out a new logo and brand early in the school year. That logo and brand has really united our district and our communications from our district. And you know, our board president got on the bandwagon with us and made buttons for every single stakeholder in the district that are proudly worn on teacher magnets. Strategic planning, as I mentioned, the board wants to engage in strategic planning. They are on target with the timeline. We have a consultant scheduled for each month starting this month, and then the board will have a special meeting in April to review those presentations and hopefully come to consensus on a consultant, and then hire that consultant to the May meeting so we can begin the process this summer. The board and I look forward to collaborating with stakeholders across the community to develop some long-range goals. We shared student achievement data, and go back. In October, we looked at last year's data, how the kids did on ISAT, Math, and Access. But, you know, as I said at the time, District 81 gives a math assessment 3 times a year, in the fall, winter, and spring, so I thought it was, you know, timely to share our most current data, which is our winter math data, which I'll be showing you in a minute. It's worth mentioning and, you know, reminding that the math test provides us with where the student is in the fall. We get a number, and then we get a reasonable growth expectation, which becomes their spring target grit score. And as I mentioned many times, and I'll continue to say, NWEA generally observes that approximately 50 to 60% of the students across the nation meet or exceed that projected growth target. And I think that's important for you to know. Now, I think it's also important for you to know that I'm sharing some very rich data on the next slides, and I want you to keep in mind that this is raw student achievement data. We use it as a tool to make our instructional decisions. We don't use it to compare schools or grades or kids. You can go ahead to the map graphs. Just go one more, I think. No, forward. This is our third grade winter math data. When looking at the top graphs, they represent reading and math. The area in blue represents the percentage of students who made growth on the target score from fall to winter. The area in green is representative of the students whose scores remain the same from fall to winter. And the area in yellow is representative of the students whose scores decreased from fall to winter. You can go ahead. These are our fourth graders. As you can see, examining the percent of students who have met their spring target rate is very vital for us to consider. This particular cohort, it's an interesting little group. They were class sizes of 15, 16 when they were in kindergarten, and they have maintained that small class size number throughout their time in District 81. This is valuable information for the teachers in fourth grade from Washington School to have. When we see 59% of the students in reading and 49% of them in math already meeting their spring grit, that tells us that these kids are probably, no, not probably, are going to need instruction that is going to be outside the typical fourth grade curriculum to continue to make the progress they'll need to make and show growth. Just because they met their spring target in the winter doesn't mean we're done. We want to see them continue to move and grow. You can go ahead. Administrators and teachers across the district have already begun analyzing this data and making plans for, can you go back to fifth grade? Making plans to best meet the needs of the individual students. This information confirms the district's decision to add winter math. We did this last year for the first time. Historically, the district was a fall to spring testing cycle with math, but using the winter tool has proved to be helpful to us because it's informing our decisions mid-year as opposed to finding out at the end of the year that we have kids that are decreasing or not meeting their target. Go ahead, Eric. This is sixth grade, and again, effective data analysis involves examining all students, including those that are not meeting their goal or making significant gains toward their goal. So this is giving us very valuable information about exactly where these kids are and what we need to do to move them forward from January to May so we can support them in their quest to meet their target rate. You go ahead. Teachers at Lincoln School will be using Descartes, which is a tool that comes with math. Basically, teachers are able to go in and put in a student's RIT score, and then it will specifically give them, these are the skills that the student is needing additional support in, and then the teacher is able to differentiate and individualize their instruction. We also are using Compass Learning in District 81, which is fully aligned to the math assessment. Go ahead. I want you to know that we know exactly who the students are who have shown a decrease in their math score across the district, and we plan accordingly. Those students will be given the math assessment again in 6 to 8 weeks, so we can see if the interventions that we have in place are working, and if not, we'll make adjustments. Go ahead. You know what, the board also wanted to see attendance and discipline reports, so we shared them with them in October, and then we'll get another copy of those at the end of this month. And we've also started tracking our student participation in extracurriculars, and that information is available on the data dashboard. We plan to update the data dashboard by trimester, so it'll be updated at the end of February. You'll be able to see what the participation rate for extracurriculars and things that may have changed between now and when we originally got it up there. We did share, you can go to the Explore slide. We did share the Explore data with the board and community in October. This is just visuals of where our students placed. Some of the entrance to lighting. This is where our 8th graders fell. Another focus area of the board is parental involvement. Like I said, our communication director has done an excellent job getting out timely communication and reminders of our events. This is a sample report that the administrators share with me after an event, just so we can see how many people are attending, both parents and students, or adults and kids. Go ahead, Eric. Really excited about our ABC parent group. This has definitely been a need in District 81. I remember when I was a principal at Kennedy School, and Kara Bloomquist and Mary Jane Goldthwait came to me, and their kids were in preschool. And, how do we start a PTO? And so this is something that has been, desired and wanted for a very long time. It's nice to see that these ladies have stepped up and taken the leadership. And on behalf of the board and all of our stakeholders, I want to thank them. And we look forward to working with you in support of the students. I want the board to know that there has been a strategic attempt to increase awareness. That was a request you made. This is just another example of that. Eric has a special section on the website for upcoming events. Go ahead, Eric. So that, I want to thank you for your attention. This is the first time we've done a mid-year review in January in District 81. I'm proud. I'm very proud of the work that the district has done on behalf of the Board of Education to this point, and I look forward to our continued progress. Thank you.
Old business. There's no old business on this agenda. Old business. New business information. Number 1, strategic planning consultation.
So I want to invite out Dr. Steve Humphreys from ACRA. We're fortunate to have him here this evening, and he's going to provide the board with some information on what ACRA can do to help us with our strategic planning process.
If you're a long way down the road, that's a great presentation. So let's build on that a little bit.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. We heard from Tim Perkins, who actually talked about surveys, which is a part of the strategic planning process. And you've been through a number of legs of strategic planning already. And so I just want to highlight a little bit for a few minutes how that can look, depending on how you want to approach strategic plans. So you're going to hear a lot of proposals in the next few months about how do you do that, what's a good way to do that. At ACRA Group, we've got a 30-year-old company that's based in Rosemont. We are heavily anchored with the idea of research and analytics, and so our approach to strategic planning is very scientific. As much as you can make strategic planning scientific, it's very analytical. In a sense, we use data extensively. We look at what's happening in your district. I'll explain it a little bit. So the one end of the spectrum is a very scientific, deep dive into who District 81 is and what you're proud of, what works, what your culture is, what your data says about you, what the things you're working on, how's that stuff going. On the other end of strategic planning is another kind of process. You'll hear about these as you go through the next few months. We do those things as well. And those tend to be projects that are more about developing board goals or board and community goals or board goals with community interaction. And now that comes some other goals. And you have goals tonight that were largely developed by you and the superintendent. And that's a way to do that. So you have a range of strategic planning process that you can use, from the very basic of just working yourselves on goals to way down to the end of looking at community engagement, reaction to your thoughts about goals, and scientific look at who are you and how are your kids doing. So I want to talk a little bit about that extreme, but I want you to know that in addition to that, we do the very basic consultation with you on community engagement pieces as well. And so that depends on what you want to do and how you want to approach this as to what we do. If you take out the piece on the right, or my PowerPoint, I didn't want to bother you with the PowerPoint tonight, so I'll just run through a few of the highlights. Behind that sheet of paper is a sample strategic plan document that you would get, something like this. In terms of content, it would look different for your district. The sections would change, but the content, topics are somewhat the same. And so you'll see and hear the examples of goals and objectives, for example, timelines and that kind of thing, which I can answer questions about or go through in a few minutes. Strategic planning is a really important piece for the district. It's one of the things that you're going to do that's going to, if you do it right, is going to create a system for you in terms of how you approach your work as a board and as a system and as an organization. Strategic planning should cover every part of your district, meaning that you're going to look at aspects such as your student performance, your facilities, things like technology, staff involvement, parents and community involvement, what's important to those various groups and stakeholders, what they think you should be working on as a board, and every aspect that goes into that, from curriculum instruction, as well as how we look at improvement, what are our goals, and how do we know if we're getting better? You saw a lot of information then about how your performance is going and you're getting better. We hope you organize that in a systemic way so that you're tied together as a community and as a district. One of the difficult things about strategic planning is sometimes it's hard to get everybody on the same page. If done right, I believe that it clarifies your organizational priorities. It helps you in every aspect of your district work together. So if you're talking about goals of the parent group, or goals of the board, or goals of the superintendent, a strategic plan pulls all that together into a concerted effort. It's an alignment piece, if you will. It helps organize every aspect of what you're doing. If you're talking about student performance, or teacher evaluation, or administrative evaluation, or board goals, about what board members do, and how you act as a board, and what you accomplish as a board. All that's under this umbrella of strategic planning. It can be, again, depending on how you approach it. I like to think of it as a decision-making framework. Because as you go to board meeting from board meeting to board meeting every month over time, you can lose track of what's guiding your decisions. A strategic planning process should guide those decisions, and so you come back to that framework as to what's important to us, what are our priorities, and how does this recommendation night fit to that overall plan. It becomes a decision-making framework. I think, too, from a board perspective, it becomes an accountability framework. Because within the strategic plan are goals and targets and objectives, timelines, that you're going to monitor, much like you did tonight with Kim's report, when you monitor what she's been working on with the staff and what progress are we making. And so that accountability model, if you will, goes over the entire system as a way we do our work. But the nice thing about it is very transparent. We know what we're working on, we know what we value, we know what the board's saying is important, we know what our goals are, we know what the parts of the district are doing to accomplish those goals, and we are really united about that effort. Strategic plans, again, are a process to unite your district and your community. I think personally, as a former educator, that uniting our folks around common goals and direction is a lot done. You can do a lot more with all these people behind you as a board than if 7 of you work by yourselves, or if the superintendent works by herself. The more we have on the target, the more we have pushing that ball up the hill, the more success we're going to have with the kids, the better we're going to feel about what we accomplish. Have a tremendous spirit, a tremendous fabric of who we are at District 81. Strategic plans can be very motivational like that, and very inspiring, and create a spirit, if you will, of what we're going to do together. So they cover a range from relationship piece to networks, to accountability, decision-making, and high priorities. It engages everyone, and it's a form of transparency because we all know what we're working on, and that's pretty important in this day and age. You have the website things that you're posting. That's important, that transparency, what we've said is urgent. It creates a focus of our purposes. The benefits that I point on page 3, again, I think it increases morale, evidences of happy and desired future. Strategic plans should be visionary. Where are we going and why are we going there? Where do we want our kids to be when they get ready for high school? What do we want to accomplish with them while they're here such a short period of time? And so that vision, that desire for the future is critically important. I think that, again, that you have a chance as an organization to make, I think of it as quantum leaps. When you get everyone lined up on a strategic direction, and we're all playing our role as administrators and staff and board members and community members and parents, a lot can be done, a lot more can be done. When we start giving messages to kids about why we're doing what we're doing and what we expect the kids to do within this framework and what their role is, we are a community united around what we think is important and where we're going. At the bottom of page 3 is a three-phase process that's a little easier to read in the sample documents. If you can't read that, you can look at the sample. And basically, the 3 phases of our process. It's real straightforward. The first phase of our process is to do some fact-finding and conduct our research. Meaning that we're going to have focus groups with each board member, interviews with each board member, focus groups with important stakeholders that we've identified, such as parents, community members, staff, support staff, administrative staff, students. We're also going to do a survey that we talked about that Dr. Perkins mentioned here before. So we roll that into the strategic planning process as well. And so that survey becomes part of that data then that we analyze and pull apart. We're going to review your mission, your vision so far, your goals that you're working on, look at your student data, what you've accomplished, look at your records of things, school improvement plans, technology plans, things that you think are important, review that, and build that into what we've heard and learned about you as a system. In phase 2, as we move the research piece to phase 2, between phase 1 and 2, we're going to write goals and objectives that we believe represent who you are based on our research. From the focus groups, community engagement, interviewing you, we're going to write goals. We're going to bring those back to you in a work session, just like tonight, present those to you and ask you what you think. So you have a chance to react to those goals, make sure they're worded in the right way, they capture the flavor of who District 81 is, and that we have the right ideas, as well as objectives. So we do a little wordsmithing around the vision, the goals, and the objectives. We do that in probably an hour or 2 hours, depends on how wordy you guys can be and what kind of talking you want to do. And we try to get that done. So one of the things that I want to say about our process, we do this work for the board. There are processes we do with districts where the board members want to go out over the next 6 months, interview community members, take a lot of notes, summarize that, come back and report out on that. That works. A lot of times board members and staff and community members just don't have the time for that lengthy, ongoing process. We try to shorten this process down into a couple of days where we're on site, talking to you, talking to the community, taking notes. We're doing the writing, we're doing the synthesizing, we're doing the collection, we're doing the reporting back to you. So you're involved in talking with us for an hour or so, and then talking with us at a board meeting like this for another hour or two to refine those objectives and goals. And that's your time commitment. Otherwise, we own the process, we're doing the work for you. I think that's important. So out of phase 2, we're going to give you a strategic plan. Again, it looks like a sample document. It's going to have the vision, mission, goals, and objectives. And that basically is your strategic plan. The most important part of the strategic plan is implementation. You can have great plans like you had from the board workshop this summer with Jeff, and you have those goals. But if you're not anything with them, tonight Kim would have got up and said nothing about anything. They were sitting on the shelf someplace, right? But that didn't happen. You actualize those goals, you put them in implementation phase, and something happened. That's critically important. So in our phase 3, that's our implementation. And we work with your team to implement the goals. And those goals are largely, those objectives and targets in phase 3, though, are largely written by your administrative team. This is where the board gets out of the process and stays at the governance level about looking at how things are going in the district. And in phase 3, the administrative team writes the targets, the timelines, and the resources, and then brings it back to the board. So that's an important phase that I can talk a bit more about. And this is, again, a little different than what happens with other processes. The scientific part of our process is that deep research in phase 1, the survey part that we do in phase 1, as well as doing the writing of all the things that are made into a summary. We want to get as close to scientific as we can, because when you get done, if somebody says, well, why is that a goal? We want to be able to base that on comments and data that we've gotten and collected from you. And one of our phases is analyzing student data for performance. How are your kids doing, and where are they performing well, and where do they need help and support? The student performance piece is the heart of our strategic plan, because we believe as a board and as a community that's what you're here for, is student performance. So that's another part of the analysis, and the scientific part goes into our plans. How did your kids perform? Where should your targets be in the future to help improve student performance? Are you getting college future ready targets completed are through Lakewood High School and beyond. And so that's what we think is important about strategic planning in 15 months. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to go through the sample document with you. Again, it's very much, this is a sample document and it's meant to be very brief so you can use it. It's a working document. Behind this document, I didn't bring a copy, is a data, a support document that gives you all the data on student performance, survey data, information from the focus groups that we collected that supports the recommendations that are in this document. And again, this is in line of paper if you want to read all that. But there is that support. So if you want to know why is that goal number 3 about improving students' math scores in 6th grade, that data is in this report, behind this report. So then we substantiate what we do and why. So the community says, well, why is that a report? Well, there's a reason for that. And again, when you finish this, it's a community-wide, district-wide plan. It's not the board's plan, not Kim's plan, not the parents' plan. It's a community coming together to say, what do we want to own we have for our kids. I just got back from a job in Virginia Beach that we were doing for our superintendent search, and Virginia Beach is a community of 70,000 kids at 86 schools. And one of the hallmarks of that district, of that organization, was that every member in that community knew about the strategic plan. And it was a living, breathing document. And everybody from the military people in Virginia Beach to the students, to the support staff, to the parents, certainly, and community leaders, the police chief, the mayor, the village president, the business manager in the village, and the staff knew that that strategic plan was driving that community for making it a better place for kids. So thinking about your small district, comparatively speaking, you can do a great amount of things when a big district can do that across all those pieces. So I expect great things from you, whether I do the work with you or somebody else does. Thanks for tonight. Good luck.
Okay, still on the new business, the ELL compliance visit report. Any questions or comments on this business information? Okay, personnel. Accept the employee personnel resignation. I would like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Georgia Aspis, part-time cafeteria aide at Washington School, effective December 13, 2013. Moved by Tina.
Second.
Is that you, Rich?
Yeah.
Rich, then. Any questions?
Disaki?
Yes.
Downs?
Yes.
Owadio, yes. Flanagan?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
And Sakura.
Yes. Executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education adjourn to executive session at 7:46 p.m. to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district and to discuss probable or intimate litigation. Moved by Tina.
Second.
Second by Rich.
Disaki?
Yes.
Downs?
Yes.
Owadio, yes. Flanagan?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Sakura?
Yes.
Downs? Yes. Owadio, yes. Flanagan?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Sakura?
Yes.
Under action of the closed session items, I make a motion to hire Ronald Passarelli as special counsel to investigate those matters as discussed in closed session. Any questions?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, Disaki?
Yes.
Downs?
Absolutely not. For the record, I'd like to say that this is a waste of time and money as a taxpayer.
Flanagan, sorry.
I vote yes, but I would like to make a statement for the record that I don't feel that any investigation will find evidence of wrongdoing on the part of anyone named in the complaints, and I am only agreeing to this investigation to protect both the district's reputation going forward as well as the people named in the complaint.
Ganachewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Statura,
Yes. Okay, I have a statement I'd like to read here. The board has received a complaint from Mr. Steve Savage. The board has received the complaint, and he does believe it has merit. The board does not believe it has merit. However, we want to avoid any appearance that we are biased against Mr. Savage. Therefore, we have hired an independent investigator as Mr. Savage has requested. To fully investigate, we request his requested allegations. That our staff fully cooperate with Mr. Passarelli so that this matter can be concluded as quickly as possible. And I will agree with Rich on what he said. It's got to come to an end for the district and the employees, which I'm sure are innocent. It's just got to be done. Adjournment. Somebody's got to make a motion. Oh, no, I entertain a motion. The Board of Education adjourn regular meeting January 15, 2014 at what time?
9:24.
At 9:24 p.m.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Flanagan, second. Vasecki?
Yes.
Downs?
Yes.
Iwanyo, yes. Flanagan?
Yes.
Ganachewski?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Statura?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our meeting.
Thank you, everyone, for